Hey folks, good afternoon and welcome to another of our NetAlly Solution Days. Really pleased that you can join us this afternoon and it's great to welcome you. Hope you're all out there and staying safe. My name's Roger Holder, Worldwide Marketing Programs Manager for NetAlly, and I'm joined on our session this afternoon by two of my colleagues, Alf Sutherland and Renald Lely-Mouzin. So I'll let those guys introduce themselves and we'll get underway. Guys.
Thank you, Roger. Yes, I'm Alf Sutherland. I'm the sort of regional sales manager for NetAlly in sort of the Northern Europe area. Been with the organisation for just under 9 years. So I followed the transition from the Fluke Networks days to NetScout, and for the last 3 years we've been rebranded as NetAlly. And Renald, do you want to quickly introduce yourself? You're on mute. Well, whilst Reynolds sorts his muting problem out, I'll crack on and you can introduce yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yep, there we go.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, this is Reynald speaking. Yes, very much the same parcours than Alf, transitioning from Fluke Networks to NetScout and now NetAlly. I'm the SE for EMA since the 1st of January. I was previously a TAC engineer and escalation engineer for NetScout back in the day. So yes, welcome everybody, and let's start the presentation.
Cool. So the whole idea of the NetAlly solutions and really what we're trying to address is generally the impact that we see on network operators. So more and more people need to support remote sites. Generally, there's always a lack of skills and resources in some of these smaller locations specifically. Equally, what you need to support now is becoming more of them, as in more device. They're particularly dynamic and they're generally unfamiliar, along with the days where most networking devices were PCs and servers and phones. There's a whole plethora of stuff now which is, I suppose, non-IT related and more business facility management orientated, and a lot of these things operate in strange ways which require specific sort of network challenges. Equally, when you actually go around to actually deploy it, there's no sort of standardized approach. People use their own laptops in different ways with different types of software, so generally you get inconsistent results. So really what we do from a NetAlly perspective is allow you to get a better understanding of what's going on from a visibility perspective, but really make that whole sort of network troubleshooting deployment problem that everyone has simple. And ultimately, once you get to the root cause, you can collaborate with the right people. But when I say root cause, everyone blames the network, and what most people need to do quickly and easily is actually figure out where it is. Is it the actual user? Is it the device? Is it the network, or sort of the medium that could be the Wi-Fi or the wire? Is it the network? Could be a PoE, VLAN, subnet, proxy type of issue. Is it a server? Is it an application? Is it the internet? Or how we're really talking today, is it something that's actually slow, and what is it? So ultimately, within the NetAlly portfolio, we have a range of wired and Wi-Fi solutions aimed at different sort of job titles and user types, where they're sort of first line responders, all the way up to more advanced network security operational managers at the end of the day. And we'll primarily be talking about the Ethoscope and Link Runner, working with our test accessories and Link Runners solutions as well. So really, I mean, at the end of the day, is your network underperforming? Most people don't really have a way of actually sort of answering that question. It's more to do with user satisfaction. At the end of the day, users only really care about, is it working to the speed that they're used to or ultimately expect. And generally, whether a user or even most IT people generally confuse speed and bandwidth. Fundamentally, it's not the same. It's that sort of traditional sort of motorway scenario that, you know, you've got 3 lanes. If you drive down at 70 miles an hour, you don't actually get the throughput, as in the bandwidth of cars, as if you were going at 40 miles an hour. So if that sort of speed bandwidth is not consistent, and really you can sort of test at one stage and it's fine, but testing at another time may provide different results. And or more often than not, especially in the Wi-Fi world, you can make absolutely no changes and get inconsistent results. So again, everything is relatively hard to predict. So, is it slow? Well done. But ultimately, how do you actually isolate that problem? Like I said earlier, is it a user? Is it the network? Is it a particular area? Is it a certain site? Is it an application? And really, you want to get down to, the root cause of the particular problem. And ultimately, we can provide you with a way of doing that. So more often than not, people blame applications. Most applications really do provide network managers or application managers an understanding of what their specific network requirements are. This particular screen is actually from Zoom. So I was trying to convince one of my colleagues the other day that actually it's probably not your network, or it's not the application. It's probably not there. It's likely to be your network, based on the latency or jitter that you expect. So most applications provide what is your required network requirements for a particular application, and then you can actually test against it quite effectively. Equally, if you actually go down to your sort of home broadband service, this is mine taken a little while ago. I mean, I've got 100 meg capability, but they advertise that as expected download, but their guaranteed download is actually half that. Equally, when your actually upload speed is actually far lower. So again, understanding your expected throughput is sometimes different from what ultimately is advertised. So specifically relevant on the Wi-Fi side, but equally related to a LAN type of environment as well. So really there are fundamentally sort of two different types of running performance tests. And our equipment, or most of our equipment, supports both different types. iPerf is the one that is free to use. So you can download literally just iPerf, just do a Google search for iPerf and you can download it. And it supports multiple different operating systems. And really what you can do then is actually do more of an application TCP, UDP data stream test that provides throughput and loss information. So this is more application orientated, as opposed to doing a traditional sort of a line rate type of performance test, where you can actually get packet loss, latency, and jitter information. And some of the different line rate standards are based on sort of the Y1564, the RFC 2544 based standards. So again, like doing a line rate performance test tells you different information to doing an iPerf, but still relevant in actually understanding if your network is actually performing. A bit of an eye chart, but this sort of indicates some of the different types of performance tests. I spoke about iPerf and some of the line rate, and ultimately what our Ethoscope and Link Runner can do. So most people are really just interested in throughput and bandwidth, understanding loss, latency, and jitter, and most of our solutions can actually provide that. And that's what most people from a sort of an ISP-esque standpoint require as well. So normally to do some form of performance test, you need a controller, and then you send packets to an endpoint. And that endpoint could be another unit, or it could be a software reflector or varying descriptions. And depending on what they are, they can either be unidirectional, as in one direction at a time, or bidirectional as well. And again, depending on what type of information you're after, it may be slowed down or it may be slow up, and you can use these to actually understand whether there's any particular bottlenecks. For people obviously to keep costs down and things like that, NetAlly does have a Windows-based network performance tester reflector. So again, you can actually run that against any particular server interface, whether it's wired or Wi-Fi. And the idea is similar to the other tests, you actually get throughput, packet loss, jitter, latency, again, depending if it's TCP or UDP and how you want. So yeah, you can download that from our website if necessary. But I think we've mentioned in the past, but there's also this test accessory available here with some of our tools that is ultimately an iPerf server. So again, you can run TCP or UDP throughput packet tests to it. It's iPerf 2 and 3, and it's really easy to use. So battery powered by 2 AA batteries, but obviously power over Ethernet as well. And the idea is you can quickly and easily run your performance tests to actually get to the information you require regarding to performance. I'll skip through this quite quickly because Ranald's actually going to give you a quick demonstration, but the Ethoscope is our sort of principal solution, both from a performance testing capability, both on wired, copper and fiber, all the way up to 10 gig, but also Wi-Fi as well. It does have other management ports to provide additional remote management capability as well. I'm not going to go through all the functionality, but it's really there to provide network connectivity-based information, network discovery, packet capture, and a variety of other parameters alongside the network performance test, which we'll demonstrate in a moment. In exactly the same way, the Link Runner is, in short, an Ethoscope with no Wi-Fi. So again, has all the primary features and functionality, so to speak, but again can be used as an iPerf tester, but also a reflector when you're doing a line rate performance test. Link Live is our free cloud service. So again, half the art is obviously you can do your testing using the handheld units in a very simple, easy to fashion. You obviously see the test results on the units, but more often than not, you need to send that information to someone else just for validation or your problem-solving capabilities to someone else. So Link Live is our free cloud application for remote documentation, but it can also be used to drive some of our units remotely as well. So one of the advantages, especially in current times, doing some of this testing, you need to be physically on site. And obviously nowadays with social distancing and people's reluctance to travel, what you can actually do is send some of our units on site and you can drive them remotely as if you're there. So again, still allows you to resolve your customer performance problems, but you can also do all this remotely. So based on that, what I'm going to do is just pass you over to Renald now, who's actually going to go through some of the performance tests I mentioned and explain ultimately how they're slightly different and what value they provide. So over to you, Renald.
Yeah, thank you very much, Alf. I guess you will have to share.
Yep, just making you presenter now.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go, sir.
Okay. Do you see my screen here?
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. So yeah, good afternoon, everybody. I think that I've for some reason stopped my webcam, so let me start this webcam again. Let's see if you can see me. Let me know because I don't have an overview here. Just quickly. Okay. So you should be able to see me again. Is that correct? Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, great. So thanks again, Alf, for this. So we're going to talk about the multiple options that we have on the Ethoscope. So what you see on the screen here is my Ethoscope connected to my PC in here. So you have both options, performance test and iPerf test. Yeah. So the iPerf test is an open software tool that performs a network throughput between 2 points. So one will act as a server. It will open a default port 5201 and 5001, and the other will act as the client. So it's going to initiate the connection to the server and run the test. Okay. So there are a number of difference between the in iPerf setup. So you have your UDP stream and the TCP. So let me just open the iPerf test here. I'm going to go through the setup. So you have the interface that you can select. So it's either any interfaces or you can have a specific one. So at this moment, I just say any, but I'm connected wired to the device itself. On the other end, there is my test accessories. I guess you probably see this. It's very, very small device. As you can see, you can easily put it in your pocket and travel with it. So what you have to do on the iPerf test, you have to select the IP address. So the 178.95 is the one that is the IP address from my test accessories. And I'm going to show you how to make sure that you are using the correct IP for the correct device in a minute. The ports, so you can use, as I say, 521 or 5001, both are default. You need to set up a duration of the test that you want to run. So on the Etherscope, you have the possibility to have a custom, to enter a custom value here. So you can actually run it for as long as you want. I guess, you know, above 600 seconds should not be necessary, but it could be a case that you need that. And then you have the protocol. So you have UDP or TCP. UDP stream is bidirectional. So you also have the information when you run the test for packet lost. And that is not something that you will have from TCP, basically. Okay. The downside of the iPerf test, because yes, there is a downside, of course. Since it's using an application, it's limited to the throughput. So it is not a full line test. Okay, so we're going to leave it as a UDP now. And then you can select, of course, if you want to have up and down stream, or you can also select up and down separately if needed. But just leave it as it is now. So I have connected my test accessories to my network. And I'm going to come back to the main page from the iPerf, and I'm going to start the test here. And you're probably going to see, oh, we are lucky, it's starting right away. I'm going to show you something in a minute. Because the test accessory are devices that can be, you can actually have 2, 3, 4, 5 in your office. And most of the time, the technician that goes on site has probably the Etherscope been configured with somebody else. And it could very well be that when you arrive on site, then you try to do an iPerf test and it is just not working. So since the IP address is not the one that was set up on the iPerf test, you wonder what's going on and how can I find which test accessory am I using. So it's very simple. I'm going to leave it doing that since it's running on the background here. So to actually find out which test accessory you have connected to your network, just go to Discovery. And in here, you will have the list of everything that is connected to your network. It's home here, so obviously I don't have 100 and 100 of them. And you can actually see that on the below it, there is something that looks like test accessory. And this is my IP address that I have to use. So if you are not sure, since you are on site, you can just run a discovery and find out which IP address is the one that you are plugged in your network. Let's just go back to iPerf here. So the iPerf test has been completed. So you can actually see that I have both up and down information. And I also have the packet lost information here. So I can upload that to Link Live. I have done that before, so I'm not going to do it again. I'm going to show you later on Link Live how it looks like. What I want to do is I want to just change UDP to TCP and just check the information that we have to compare from both. Just go back to this. Okay, so we have something important here. We have 30-second defined, which means that if we do an up and down stream, that will be a total in 1 minute. So it's going to scan for 30 seconds the up throughput and 30 seconds the down throughput as well. Okay, so we just leave it as it is, and then the main advantage here is that that it's very easy to configure. Obviously, you can see that I lost the connection here. You see that? is simply because my test accessory has dropped. So it's fine, you know, it's okay, it can happen. So let's stop this one hour, and I'm going to actually connect to it again. It will take very, very few seconds. So let's start this again. Initializing, and you see the server did not respond. So what you can do, again, if you're not sure that you have the correct device with you, is just click on the IP on the top here, and that will bring you to this screen here. Then there is a little tool on the below right. So what I want to know is if I can connect to that device, okay? So can I ping it? Let's see. Maybe I will have to change those things as well here, rather quickly. And I'm going to make a test to it to see if I can actually reach that device. Start it again, okay. And then I will start. And then if I have a response, then I know that I'm connected to the correct devices. So it's the other way of testing if you are using the correct test accessory or not, okay. So since it's rebooting on my hand here, it will take a few seconds. So bear with me. It's now, as you can see, flashing on validating. And then in a few seconds, I will be able to ping that device. Here you go. Okay, so here we have the connection again. So I'm going to let it run for a few seconds. And then when the ping is successful, as it is now, I'm going to stop it and see if I can run the test again. So to run the test, just click on the little arrow that you have on the bottom here. And then when you arrive to the main iPerf screen, just start again. So if you have, again, that response coming up, doesn't matter. I will just click on this again. It's good that this is happening because sometimes I have a lot of calls on that from the field, and the technician on site don't really know how to deal with it. You know, is my test accessory broken? Is my Ethoscope not working properly? So it's a good way to show you exactly how things are happening on the site as well, which I experience from time to time. So let's say that 17 should be enough. Just going back to the main screen again. And from here, I should be now able to, yes, you see it's initializing. So now we have the connection to the test accessories again. And if the cable doesn't drop again, then we should be able to complete that test as well. So yeah, 30 seconds on both sides. So the total time will be obviously 1 minute. So when this is done, I will upload this to Link Live as well, and I'm going to show you afterwards when we are in Link Live how it looks like and what are the difference between the UDP and TCP test result. So another few seconds to go. I will move up so you can see what's happening here. So if you have any red dot coming inside after the test has been completed, then that will indicate that there is something that is wrong either on the up or downstream. Okay, so you will have an alarm showing up there. So we have 7 seconds to go, so we should be done now. And again, those little 3 dots on the top there will allow you to actually upload to Link Live. So let's don't do that because I did that before, so I don't want to use too much time on that. So that's basically how to configure the iPerf test. Just click on it, select the correct test accessory. If you do not know which one you have, run a discovery, and that will bring you the IP address from that specific device. Okay. Let's now have a quick look of, and you can see on the background, by the way, the Link Live is updating with tests that has been sent to it. Let's have a quick talk about the performance test. So the Ethoscope has the network performance app, which is the one that I just opened. Okay, the source device can connect up to 4 remote endpoints to simulate connection simultaneously. So you can have 4 devices connected to your network via the app on the Ethoscope and run those simultaneously. Okay, so the remote endpoint can be a software reflector, and I'm going to show you how it looks like in a minute. It can be a hardware, and it can be also a remote peer. Okay, so the first that I want to show you, and that was on a slide from Alf. So this is the NetAlly reflector. So where do you get that? If you go to our website here, and then you scroll down, I just choose Etherscope. You scroll down to document. On the document, you just scroll down to a software section. And here you can actually download the software, okay? And that's free of charge, and there is no licenses, okay? So you can download it and install it on as many PC as you want on site, okay? So the reflector, as you can see, I'm using my internal Ethernet connection. You can also see here that everything connected to my PC or laptop, all my Wi-Fi external or internal adapter are here. So I can actually do also a Wi-Fi test if needed. But we are talking about networking now, so just skip and select the Ethernet port. So IP 178.12. So what I'm going to do here on my performance test, I'm going to open it. And this is my performance test for that specific software here. So I have in the service the possibility to actually set up some options here. Okay, so being a reflector, the software will take any packet received. It will flick the source, destination MAC, and IP addresses, and then we'll send the packet back to the source. Okay. On the Etherscope, this will show as round trip. So you will have a small arrow that will identify what is the test that you have been doing here. So service name, I just put NPT to make it easy. Endpoint, obviously I want to use it as reflector, but you also have the options to use peer here. Then you have the size frame, so it's going from 64 to 9,600 bytes. You can also use the ABCDEJ frame mix if needed. You have some threshold here. So basically, as mentioned before, those thresholds are standard. They are default, but you can, if you want to actually, upload them and just change them. Most of the time, the jitter, it's between, I say 20 milliseconds would be probably the max. I know that Alf said 20 to 40, but 20 milliseconds will probably be, the max for me. The latency thresholds 100 to 150 is acceptable. Everything above that, you may start to have some issues. And then you also have here the layer 3. So let's have a quick look here. You have let's talk about the TOS. It's a type of service to start with. And then, and then from here, you can actually just click on it and you can actually select, okay, on the QoS, do you want to have DSCP or IP preferences? So the main difference between, I'm pretty sure you know that, but the main difference between IP precedence and DSCP is that the IP precedence is a 3-bit field to give priority to an IP, when the DSCP is 6, okay? But that's known for everybody, I guess. And then you have the DSCP. So if you want to prioritize some specific packet, there is some packet that can be set up with a code point value, and then you can actually select those code points from here. So from AF11 to AF46. Okay, that's something that you can also select if needed. But we're going to leave it as default here. Okay. So when this is done, then you are ready to actually run your test, basically. Okay, so what I want to show you before we run any test is that we also have the possibility here to actually do some test, reflector test with hardware. So I have here 2 devices. I have the Linkrunner 80 and the Linkrunner G2. So what I'm going to do, I'm pretty sure you know those devices, but I'm going to just start both of them. The Linkrunner 80, by the way, when you want to set up your the reflector options, you just go to, it's not a touchscreen, so you go with the arrow to the tools, and in the tools, you're going to see in a list, there's an option called reflector, then you're going to click on it. And that's what I'm going to do now. And then it's going to set and require the IP address. You can actually see that on the screen. I cannot show you the screen because it's going to be completely white. You won't be able to see any information. And then that link runner 80 that I have in my hand is showing me the address of 228 IP address, which is correct. That's the one I have configured here. On the link runner G2, when you start the auto test, on the top left, you will have three little lines, which is the menu, basically. And when you open that menu, there is an option called reflector. So you just click on it. Same story. It will actually start to actually get an IP address. And when this is done, it says 143. So let me see if I have the correct one here. Yes, I do. Okay. So I have both set up and started. I have my NPT software reflector that is also being configured and ready to go. So what I'm going to do now is going to see if I can start the test. And yes, indeed, I can. You can actually see that I have set it up to 1 minute. But you can actually have, I'm going to show you that in a minute, you can actually change that duration time for whatever you, it's important for you. So what's good here, it's using the link runner 80, link runner G2 or the software, is that that will give you an overview of the packet loss, give you the throughput value and latency and jitter as well. Okay, so all of those information will be here. Okay. So if you want to have a clear overview of what's happening, you can actually see there is a red dot coming on the bottom right here. So if I click on that, then I can actually see, and I'm going to use my finger to actually go through this. You can actually see that there is some frame loss that is quite high. So reason for that is, and that's purpose of the test here. I have a very bad cable. I'm going to a splitter and going to a switch. And that is not really the best way to actually have a connection to your device. So this is just to prove to you that yes, if you have an issue with a bad connection, a bad cable also, then you can actually detect it pretty fast. Okay, so let's go back to this. Link runner 80, you can actually see I have 100 Mbps and I'm doing 99.9, so that's pretty good. There is no frame loss. Again, if I add any red dot here, that will show to me that there is either a problem on the connection. There could be also some jitter problems. So the packet that is the sending data packet is probably not receiving, or the connection is probably not good, or there is a huge delay. And if the delay is above the 20 milliseconds, for instance, for the jitter, then obviously I will have an alert on it. So let's go back here. Then I can, oops, when I try to click too fast, going back to the performance test. So what you can do here, you can actually just upload. Again, you just go to the upload to link live, and then I'm going to upload that test as well. Just put it demo Renault 2021, and you can upload the 3 tests directly. So these are for reflector testing. Okay. When you want to do, and I'm going to show you that now, when you want to do a peer-to-peer, you can actually just set up that in the Etherscope as well. So you just, instead of having an endpoint that's going to be a reflector, then you can use symmetrical. So if you have 2 Etherscope, you could use asymmetrical, because the speed will be different on both way. But if you have a one-touch 80 10 gig or a link runner 10 gig on the other end, then you can actually just set up as symmetrical. Then bandwidth, then you can have 1 gig to a maximum of 10 gig. Just to make it very easily here, I'm going to leave it as it is. And exactly the same as we discussed before, you have a threshold here, and you also have those layer 3 options, quality of service, DSCP, etc., which I have explained already how it works. Okay, so what you can do here, you can just go back to the main page and do a start, and then it will, oops, and then it will actually start to actually scan. So it's 1 minute, so you will be in 1 minute time, then you will have all the information. Again, that time can be changed to as long as you want. 24 hours, I believe the maximum is. Okay. So since this is running, let's have a quick look here. And that's what I was talking about, the duration. So you can actually, oh, it's not 24, it's 12 hours. So you can actually have it, 24. You can have it from 1 minute if you want to, up to 24 hours. Okay, so you can actually choose what you want. Obviously, 1 minute is what I chosen because we don't have much time to talk about it today, but it's basically what you can do. You can also have, and that's very important, you can also have the, you have the possibility here, I'm going to stop this. You have the possibility here of running 4 different services at the same time. Okay, so if I select those 4 and I actually start the test, then it's going to actually take one after each other and run them at the same time. Okay, so now that we have been testing, that we understand how to set up the performance test and what it does for you, what's important, then you can actually now go to Link Live. And let me see. Here you go. Then you can actually go to Link Live and you can actually see exactly what I've been testing here. So the top one will be, let me see, this is the UDP test that we did early on. You can actually see that here. And that is from the hyperf test. So we have on the right-hand side the upstream and down below all the downstream speed. We have the port that has been used and we have the interface as well. So you can actually see that when we use a TCP, then you have also the information that is related there. Okay, so all the information that you have been testing will be uploaded there, and you can also export them to a report as well if needed. Okay. Now let's see if we have the. Let me see if I can find the test for the one I just done now. Give me 1 second. Okay. So unit. And then I'm going to the test. And this is the one that we just did from the Etherscope. So from the one touch that was connected here, this is the information that you will received up and downstream as well. So again, you can use a one touch 10 gig, but you can also use a link runner 10 gig. And also, if you want to have asymmetrical test, you can use an other Etherscope connected to your network as well. Okay, so all those information are uploading to Link Live and you can export them as well. So what's important here, and I will end with this, is that basically last week I had a customer on a call since I'm still doing some troubleshooting in attack that said that he has a very slow network and he was not sure what test to run, whether a performance test or just a hyperf test. So I call him, and when we discuss, the situation, he actually said to me, well, I have some very bad internet connection, which is very, very unstable. And I say, okay, great. So that's very good information. So let's connect. He has Etherscope and TA. So we connected the TA to his network and the Etherscope on the other end. We just, set up a hyperf test, was very fast. And we set it for 120 seconds, if I remember it well. And then what we saw is that we had a huge drop of about 60% in a gap of every maybe 5 to 10 seconds. So that was really, really unstable. So we could have just disconnect the router, just plug it in again and try to actually maybe change the cable. But what I say to him is just, before we do anything, just contact your provider and ask if there is any issue there. So he actually called them and he gets the automatic answering machine saying that, Ziggo, which is the provider, was pushing some update today, and that in the result will probably have a bad or slow internet during the morning. In fact, he called me in the afternoon. He said, I did another hyperf test. Everything is absolutely stable, and I can see it on the test itself. So result. So I think it's really what you face versus what you think it could be, and then you will have the opportunity to actually find. I mean, we didn't find or solution the issue right away, but we find the root cause of it. So since it was linked to the provider, there's nothing we could do, but at least we knew what the issue was. Okay, so in a way, you know, it's a nice device to have. It's fast, and it actually get you to the point to actually be sure that you do not lose any time, because we all know that time is actually money. So that's about for me, guys. I think you can come back with Alf now.
Yeah, thank you very much, Renaud. Appreciate that. So as you've seen, sorry, I'll scroll down a few pages. As you see, running performance tests with our sort of tools is actually relatively simple, and ultimately you get to the root cause of the problem, where it's either an application or it could be an upload or a download type of problem, and depending on the test, you actually get the relevant information you want. So never confuse speed with bandwidth. And yeah, using our tools really provide quick and easy way of being able to diagnose network-related performance problems. And at the end of the day, yeah, quick and easy, very cheap. Obviously, you don't need another hardware device at the other end. You could use a performance, you could use the open source iPerf, or even our reflector. And ultimately, yeah, you can get to the root cause of particular performance problems quickly and easily. So, conscious of time, thank you for listening. Yeah, the idea behind all our tools is to make things simple, visible, and allow you to collaborate. If you do need information, there's more information on our website and all of the product-related pages, and there's also a plethora of information on the YouTube NetAlly site as well. So I suppose, yeah, thank you for listening. I do appreciate your time. Sorry for overrunning somewhat, but if you do have any further questions, feel free to reach out to myself, Renaud, or even Roger. Thank you.
Great, thanks Alf, thanks Renaud. That's all we've got time for, folks. I do appreciate you giving up your time for us this afternoon. If you do have any questions, then direct them to us at these email addresses. Otherwise, it just remains for me to wish you good afternoon, stay safe out there, and look forward to seeing you on another one of our webinars shortly. Thank you. Bye-bye.